In this video, I'm going to talk about the idea of scarcity. So you have to know that scarcity is the source of all economics problem. So as mentioned in the previous video, we know that because we have the problem of scarcity, which as we have, I'm talking about the definition here. So as we have the limited resources, but we have unlimited wants. The scarcity is describing the situation. It's referring to that the resources available is insufficient. It's not enough to satisfy a human wants. So that's why we have the problem of scarcity. So think about it. So we are humans and we have different human desires. Even we can satisfy some of our human desires still. Somehow, at some point, you will have new wants, you will have new human desires. Let me give you an example. So you may know that when you're back in your primary school, you're still studying, okay? So let's think about the example of dictation. So if you get 50 marks this time, so next time maybe you will talk to yourself, I want to do better. So that's why you will raise the bar. You will have new wants. You want to get 60 marks next time. So after you have reached the score of 60, you talk to yourself, maybe I should try a 70, okay? A new wants emerge. The next time, you will say, maybe I should get a better score in Chinese or English or mathematics. And even if you satisfy everything, you will still say, maybe I should have something new. Maybe I should learn a new skills. Maybe I should learn a new language. So this is the unlimited wants. So even some of our wants are being satisfied, new wants emerge. That's why we say the problem of scarcity is not likely to be solved. So after we talk about the definition and is it even possible to solve, so I would say that most of the time, or like if we are human, so basically it's not really solvable, it's inevitable, and that's why we have economics. So scarcity is the source of all economics problem. So after we finish about definition and whether I just briefly talk about is it even possible to solve it. Let's talk about it is a relative concept. So scarcity, as you record the definition, the resources available is insufficient to satisfy a human wants. You know that we have to say this is a relative concept. We have to use these two things, which is the wants and also the resources, and we do a comparison. That's why we call it a relative concept. So let me give you 3 examples for you to think about. So the first case is that, so we have wants and the resources available is insufficient to satisfy our human wants. So this is the problem of scarcity. So of course, this is true. Scarcity exists. So how about the second case? So we have some resources. We have many resources. So does it enough to conclude there is scarcity? The answer is no. Because we say that scarcity arises when there is a comparison. It is a relative concept. So when there is, in this case 2, there is no wants, we cannot compare. That's why we say it is not enough to conclude there is scarcity. So make sure you know this is a relative concept. So I can give you a situation. So for example, so when there are many resources, but you do not know about whether there are wants or not. So that's why it's not enough to conclude there is scarcity if the question or the situation only give you this statement. So how about we have unlimited wants? So if it's briefly just talk about the unlimited wants, so is it enough to conclude their scarcity? Still not. So make sure it is a relative concept. You have to mention both of them to compare them. That's why it becomes a relative concept. So there are many situations that you can think of. So for example, we have resources, we have wants. So how about this time? Well, we have 0 wants. Okay, 0 wants. So is it enough to conclude their scarcity? So if we have 0 wants, then this equation shall not stand. Okay, so you can think of this as a visualize the way to represent the concept of scarcity. So when there are zero wants, so of course the resources will be enough to satisfy the wants. That's why scarcity does not exist. So how about when there are resources and we have many resources, okay, or even there's fixed amount of resources, but it is enough, okay, to satisfy our wants. So even we have little resources, but if it is enough to satisfy the wants, then scarcity still do not exist anymore. So this is just a brief introduction to scarcity. So of course it depends on the question or depends on the situation. You have to think about it yourself, critically, logically. I'm just trying to give you some ideas about how you can think of it. The key takeaway is that it is a relative concept. Make sure you remember the definition and you know that most of the time it is not even solvable because scarcity is the source of economics problem.